Gaming has sort of stopped apologizing, and that's what we're seeing with a lot of new titles coming out from non-Western focused game developers. And I think we see that specifically with Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, that recently just released a trailer where gamers are saying, oh, we're actually getting a game developer more focused on bringing the content that we loved about a series rather than bringing the content that we absolutely do not care for. And that's what we be getting with a lot of games that have been coming out these past few years, where it was more focused on bringing about ugly designs and overall characterization that is just not in line with what we love about video games in general. We were getting speeches about racial gender politics. We were getting overall diatribes about how we should like more diversity in gaming instead of actually good games. I think that was reflective of the gaming environment for the past 10 years, where we were being lectured about what we should do in our modern political life rather than actually being delved into a fantasy world where things are absolutely engaging and entertaining to the gamer and player base. And we did get that from developers like Shift Up, who created Stellar Blade, that rocked the gaming landscape as it came out to a crowd of boos and jeers from the social media gaming journalists. But the gamers loved it, and Shift Up, the developer itself, didn't apologize for its uncharacteristically beautiful design characters and actually sticking by the gamer's side. And I think this is the thing that we're seeing with a lot of titles that are coming out nowadays, where they're sticking by the gamer's side, where they're making games to actually please the customer base that are actually spending money to buy their games. I think this is what we're seeing with Street Fighter, with Mai Shiranu being designed in such a way where gamers are saying, wow, they actually made the version that looks better than the one that we saw in previous iterations. I think that is the way gaming is going nowadays, that we're really getting unapologetic developers that are sticking by what they see as beautiful design and actually customer-friendly designs. And I think this is a situation that we're seeing with a lot of titles that are coming out from non-Western developers. I have to keep putting out there non-Western developers because that's the only developers not apologizing anymore. And I think we saw this with a lot of developers in the East, where they're trying to capitulate to the modern Western stereotype of designing, where they're trying to make all their characters more ugly, more covered up, more conservatively dressed, more everything that is anti what the gamer actually wants from their video game. And I think when we see developers actually inching away from the Western standard, that's when you're seeing them not apologizing for the designs that they're putting out there. And I think that's what we saw with Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, that was released by Team Ninja, and of course it was on the Xbox and Game Pass. It didn't change anything about the characters. I think that's what we saw with Stellar Blade from Shift Up in Korea, and PlayStation supported it because the time to apologize and amend the game that you're producing for a crowd of people and activists that don't care about your product, just want you to capitulate to their ideology, is coming to an end. And it seems like it coincides with what's happening in the political landscape, at least in America, but it seems Japanese developers are recognizing this is the case, and they're sticking by the tried and true things that actually caught the attention of the fan base and the reception of these games. I think that's what Ninja Gaiden 2 represents, the remaster and the remake of that. We're seeing with with Street Fighter, where there's an unapologeticness to the designs that we're seeing in these games. And I think that is the thing that is winning over the gamer and winning over developers that have long since tried to steer clear of making beautiful and attractive designs. You see Overwatch trying to release similar designs now, where they're going, okay, this is where the cultural zeitgeist is going, we're going to move towards that direction. While beforehand, they were releasing a numerous amount of ugly designs that most gamers weren't really applauding. And I think that is a situation that we're seeing in the gaming industry, where developers are not scared of producing actually nice looking content now. And I think that's what we're seeing with Chinese developers, specifically with Tides of Annihilation that was released during the State of Play. Once this game was released, everyone knew it was an Asian developer, it was an Eastern developer. Non-Western developers are unable to make these type of design choices anymore. And I think making these design choices is a form of not apologizing for creating something that is not within the Western cultural zeitgeist, that is not within the modern political activist view and messaging that they want to see in gaming. And that is slowly dying out, it seems like, with the political environment kind of shifting and turning more towards a free speech narrative that seems to focus on actually pleasing a customer base and actually hearing different forms and styles of production. And I think that's what we're seeing in gaming now, where Japanese developers, Chinese developers, Eastern developers, Saudi Arabian developers, because that new SNK Fatal Fury is a Saudi Arabian developer right now. SNK was purchased by a Saudi Arabian company, and they own over 95% of the stake into that company, and they're just making the designs of the games that we actually want to see played as. And I think that is the thing that we're seeing in the gaming industry today, where there's a lot of non-Western game developers that are trying to stick to that classic design that has built up and monetized the video gaming industry into a $1 trillion industry. And I think that is the historical context for a lot of these games that are coming out from Eastern developers nowadays, or non-Western developers, where they see what actually sold the franchises that are now floundering and bankrupting entire industries. We see what's happening with Fable. The new design was trash, and when you look at the old designs from 2004, you realize, oh, okay, they're much in line with the new Eastern design developers that are trying to focus on cosmetically appealing designs and actually engaging gameplay. And I think this is the thing that is seen throughout the comparisons that we see throughout Western and Eastern games, and where there is a decidedly lack of aesthetic appeal for the characters that are being put on display. And I think this is getting even more obvious as you compare to 2012, where we still had these designs, where there's a stark contrast where they say it's a technical problem, but in 2012, we had better designed characters that match the high quality standard that we currently see only in Eastern games. So the excuses that they came out with saying that was technical difficulties were all lies and distractions from what they actually want to do, which is introduce this prevailing ideology of stripping away these beauty standards because they feel like it's an inequality that they must readdress through entertainment and culture. And I think that's the thing that we see in gaming, a redressing or a sort of entertainment communism, entertainment socialism, or beauty socialism, where they feel like they have to reinforce these lower standards to actually deem some sort of equity between these two different beauty outcomes. And it's kind of weird to see a communist socialist perspective in production design, but that is just what is being taught in these video gaming institutions right now, where developers are taught about readdressing the beauty standards in gaming and making things equitable nowadays. I think this is a reflection of what we've been seeing all throughout the gaming industry, where it is about a readdressing of beauty design and making things uglier and more unappealing to the game player, because simply it's unfair to those that can't reach those unrealistic standards. So that's why we have to see Deborah Wilson in every single game. And I'm thinking we don't need that sort of redressing of beauty standards or redressing of actually interesting content. I think that is the difference between East and West now, where one is trying to make a profit, the other is trying to readdress these social identity crises and trying to make a political statement. But that is just not what the gamer wants. The gamer is not going to apologize that they don't want this anymore. It seems like the developers in the East and every non-Western country is coming to that clear fact that they don't need to apologize for making good designs in gaming anymore. And I think that's the thing that we're seeing right now with Fatal Fury, with Street Fighter, and a whole host of other titles coming out. And I think that's the exciting thing about gaming right now. No one's apologizing anymore, and I think that bodes well for the future of video games. But you tell me what you think about the situation. Like to hear your thoughts. Like, comment, share, subscribe. This is Wagner Knows Why. Catch you next time.